God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan Napalm channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Pantheon related content on our march to launch. So today we're going to talk about the new QA testing roundtable with Zoey, head of the quality assurance testing and all that kind of thing, and how she feels and some inquiry into how they feel about the next testing phase coming up, the next and possibly last pre-alpha testing before we head into alpha, beta, then launch. First up, let's hear what she has to say about this particular upcoming pre-alpha phase, and if it's going to be any different than what we're used to from the previous pre-alpha phases, because we know that Project Fair Hell is upon us, and we want to know if that's going to affect or change the way this pre-alpha goes. And also we'd like to know, is this new content going to be part of the pre-alpha? Of course, some of it will be, the animations, etc., but will the good, juicy stuff be part of it? Let's hear what she had to say.
The next testing session is likely going to be quite different than previous ones because, you know, new content that's being put in. So, but yeah, we'll definitely get some posts out when we're getting closer to the next session. So you'll have plenty of time to review everything and ask questions.
The verbiage throughout this interview really felt like that we're very ridiculously super close to pre-alpha. This is kind of the early alarm, the early flag being thrown up in the air that we're coming up on this next pre-alpha stage. So that's great. And now we kind of can feel that yes, there's going to be a lot of new content in there. We're not going to be back in the same areas that maybe we're accustomed to if you're in the pre-alpha phases. It doesn't seem like. At least there will be a lot of new stuff to test out and play with and report bugs, etc. Which brings us to the next point I wanted to make and show you this clip of her talking about the actual pace and what they're looking for in the next pre-alpha and the kind of things they want us to be testing for, looking for, and reporting. And let's check that clip out.
But sure, yeah, there's going to be a priority. I've always wanted to go into the PAs with very specific goals in mind. I know a lot of you want to get in and test everything that's new, and that's great, but I do hope to have some guidance as far as what the focus is. As far as damage is concerned, one thing to note is that's something that's really going to be fluctuating a lot all the way up until launch. There's going to be, you know, different systems that are put in. Maybe AI becomes more robust, and we'll constantly be having to balance things. So no, I wouldn't be crunching Excel documents just yet, but certainly we want to know that the functionality is in there and that it's working. So ultimately, you're welcome to post any bug you find, but yes, absolutely, we will have some focus tests.
And of course, they'll communicate those focuses with us and what they want us to kind of be drilling down on, the kind of systems they want us to really be trying to kind of break or find out if they can be broken, that kind of thing. And so that's great to know. Now, I would like to take it a step further about the actual testing and what to be looking for and what they're kind of focused on at this particular time in the development timetable. So let's take a look at what she explained here, because I think this is crucial.
You know, we have a timeline of, you know, different sprints, different software sprints, and we have scope. So there's also scope for bug fixes too. So something very simple like, you know, maybe, I mean, I'm just making these up, but let's say a shield looks funny and your character's not holding it correctly. That might be a bug fix that we're willing to put off for a while so we can get more important bugs fixed. You know, I mean, ultimately we want to fix all the bugs, but there's definitely a scope. So if you find from PA session to PA session that, hey, you know, there's this one bug that just keeps sticking around, if you've reported it, we know about it. It just might not be within scope yet.
I think that gives us a very good perspective of how to approach the next pre-alpha and what kind of things, and just kind of a perspective for us to understand when we do report bugs and, you know, they don't seem like they're high priority, because they may not be, because of the actual scope and the development cycle and what they're looking at for each phase. Which brings me to the next thing I wanted to show you guys, which is basically her talking about the differences as we move into this possibly last pre-alpha, into alpha and into beta, and how things kind of shift and change as we get further along into development and closer to launch. Let's listen to that real quick.
As far as how their roles are going to change, so certainly the scope of the game is going to change drastically. We'll have, you know, going from pre-alpha to beta, for instance, is a huge jump. So, you know, right now, if you remember in some of the first pre-alphas, there's probably a lot of maybe solo content that you were going through because it was low level, and then we opened up some higher level stuff, you know, and even people have seen that on stream. So you'll definitely be doing, you know, more group oriented stuff and just really getting down to the true vision of the game as we're, you know, headed towards launch. So I wouldn't say it's going to change drastically. You're still going to be looking for bugs, but without giving out too many details, you know, the focus will change slightly.
It sounds like what she's trying to say there is, of course, it's going to evolve, right? The type of testing that we do, what we're testing for, what we're looking for, the kind of bugs that we're squashing, and things get more and more fine-tuned until launch. You know, we're going to be focusing on some pretty major things, as you already know if you've already been doing the pre-alpha testing in the beginning phases. As we move into alpha, things are a lot more rounded off. We can really start squashing the things like she talked about earlier, with like the shield doesn't look right in the hand, or you can see through helmets and clipping and all that kind of weird stuff would be more alpha beta stage. And as we move closer to launch, things get a little bit more serious, a little bit more fine-tuned, because they're preparing it for that final phase of actually being a game, right? Actually launching and being a game, which is what we're really excited about and what we're all working so hard to get to that point. And the last clip I wanted to play is her actually talking about the times that they're going to design for the next and possibly last pre-alpha phase, and how they kind of play with that, and then you get some really good input on that. So let's hear that before we wrap up.
I don't have any. I will say that we try to make everyone happy. We have testers from all over the world, and you know, I can tell you, I've been involved in all the internal talks about PA times, and the concern is always about trying to find a time when everyone can play and test.
Yeah, that's a big one too. And luckily we have people all over the world. So being in Australia, I was doing a couple of shifts where the rest of the team was asleep, and we'd have Euros and Aussies in there having fun. They were smaller groups, but you know, we were still able to open the servers up and do that kind of thing, and we're hoping to do that again.
Alright guys, and as far as I was concerned when I listened to this, that was all the major points throughout that particular interview about quality assurance and testing and pre-alpha and all that kind of thing. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're able to glean some information from it. I found it very interesting. I thought it was a great interview. I do wish sometimes it was edited a little bit before it was released as the actual roundtable. Of course, it's going to be a little rough because they're recording it live and they're talking to people at the same time, so it's going to be a little rough. But I do wish they'd send it to somebody to edit it. Heck, I'd do it for free. You know what I mean? That's my only actual complaint, which has absolutely no real groundwork. It's just a simple suggestion. I wish it was edited a little bit. Doesn't take too long to kind of cut out the quiet moment. Even that would help out a lot. Just simple editing like I have to do when I'm recording myself babbling on like I am right now. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to, we only got a little bit of time left before we get the next newsletter, and the last newsletter was really freaking good. If you haven't already checked out my video, especially the one about the questions about each class, check that out on my channel. Also, if you want more Pantheon content, there are literally hundreds of videos on this channel talking about all kinds of different subjects, what to expect, and that kind of thing. So just check that out on my channel. Of course, I have a playlist that you can check out all the Pantheon content. So go and check that out if you haven't already, and please consider subscribing, guys. If you haven't subscribed already, maybe you don't even have a YouTube account, go ahead and do that. I mean, come on, just make a Gmail account or whatever, and go ahead and sign up for YouTube so you can subscribe and you can talk to me and leave comments, and we can communicate about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen a little easier. But until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming. Listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. My friends all say I'm it's a video buffet. You can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize. But just please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.